Hey there, my name is Shukla, and I like to say namaste and welcome to Financial CHAKRAS podcast. So, my friend, this is a in this podcast, I'm going to be discussing what are financial chakras and how I discover them and how we can help you. My friend, I have to let you know, first of all, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you and I love you very much. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. So, what are financial chakras? My friend, so to give you a synopsis of what are financial chakras, how I came about them, and what can it do for you, really, right? Let's start with a conversation. I originally came here from India with to the United States with $20 and zero English. I grew up here in Maryland. I ran into financial services for 27 years, and when I started, I wasn't bad. I was pathetic. I had to blackmail my dad through my mom to get the first sale in the door, and eventually, I became a successful financial planner. I was managing over $300 million, and then I started my own company. And before that, I was with banks, and then I started my own company, and I successfully, dissolved it about 5 years ago. And I've been doing consulting training since 2008. I have helped over 5,000 entrepreneurs. I have written five different books. And one of my very first book is this book called Sell Like Crazy that I wrote in 2012. We made it Amazon bestseller. And for the work I've done, I've taken several entrepreneurs for $1 million in revenue, and I have received this congressional honor for the work I've done. Now, that being said, as I'm telling you this, this story, okay, I'm here to let you know that no matter who you are as an entrepreneur, business owner, individual, you are at a different stage of your life in the journey of money. Okay. And I was at one stage of my life in journey of money. And after coming here, I was scammed by somebody that I knew very closely, and it got really ugly really fast. So internally it hurt me really badly, and my energetics were totally off base. And my when I was born, my mom had a postpartum depression, and I grew up with my grandparents. And my grandfather was my hero, and he taught me everything, yoga, meditation, spirituality, in any kind of religious talks, or we used to have business talks or financial talks, pretty much everything. So that being said, since he has influenced me, I went to him because this during this scam, I was doing about $5 million a year in business. I was doing pretty decent, but I thought I was gonna go in a downward spiral. So I'm like, okay, what do I do, right? Because in business, in life, you're either pretty much sideways, or you're going down, or the third option is you're trying to go up, but you feel like you're stuck. So in this case, I was going up, and my trajectory was very nice, and all of a sudden I felt like there was a ceiling at the top of it, and it really hurt me internally. So I went to my grandfather. I asked him for some help. He helped me out, and helped me get realigned. He helped me go with my chakras and really get me aligned. And once he got me aligned, literally my business went from 5 million to 10 million within literally in about 6 months. So that being said, once that happened, once that transpired, I asked him a question: has anybody proven how chakras exist in finances? And he's like, that has never been done before. So I said, okay, no problem. Let's see what we can do. So I went to work and I took seven chakras, and I started put them in like a proper combinations. And I did over 5,000 plus combinations, and I found out there's a one combination that actually is a formula, is a rule that I ended up creating. And I discovered that when you put that in that order, you can be successful. And that's what I had done in terms of I went from 5 million to 10 million. I was very, very happy with that. So now I'm like, okay, what do we call it, grandfather? And then we came together, and we ended up calling it, since it was finances and chakras, we called it financial chakras. And that's how we came about it. Now, what can it do for you, though, right? What are financial chakras, and how can it help you? It's the most important piece of the puzzle here. And I will tell you that by aligning and understanding how chakras exist in finances, right? Chakras, for the first time, I can show you how chakras exist, not just in your body, but how do they exist outside of your body? Maybe in a cup of coffee, maybe in your financial instruments, decisions you're making, things you're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? But more importantly, If since you're a holistic a person who really believes in holicism and this world of holicism, my friend, I want to let you know that you are thinking correctly, because first and foremost you have to be open minded. A holistic person is open minded person, a person, an individual that is truly just willing to grow, willing to look at things from a different angles, and willing to accept that there is infinite possibilities, right? See, because at the end of the day we are looking to create conviction in our life, that we want to be convinced that whatever we are doing in our life is going to work out, absolutely going to work for us. But for that you need three ingredients, and that is called, first and foremost, you have to believe in the magic. The second thing ingredient you need is your logic that you created, not by somebody else. That logic that actually works. You take some proven logics, but also you create your own logic. And the most important part is you create your own science. And when you do that, you have conviction. So when you look at financial chakras, what I did was I looked at internal chakras, and I said, okay, there are five most important things that I did that I thought was very helpful for anyone who is listening to this, right? Those of you who are listening to this, first and foremost, I discovered, I created a formula, okay, on how to measure your emotions in dollars and how to measure your potential in dollars. Why that is important? Because first and foremost, we put our time, in our life we live a short life on earth, right? And when we live that short life on earth, we want to make sure that everything counts. So I decided that, okay, why don't I do this? First and foremost, let me show, in my book that's coming out, by the way, I'm actually showing you mathematically how to measure your emotions in dollars, how to measure your potential in dollars. The second thing that I did was I found out that there's a one epicenter that actually is yours. You come from that, you belong in that, you own that epicenter internally. And once you find that epicenter, I found out that there's a flow that you have, your current financial flow. And then ultimately there is your signature financial flow, which is ultimate goal of attracting abundance that you're looking for, your signature financial flow. And financial chakras, as I'm talking to you, abundance through alignment, we are truly going to get into this a lot further in detail in the next episode as we do this. And I am going to bring you guys a surprise, okay? And here's what I'm doing. I This is a book, actually all the notes that my grandfather took, right? I have all his notes from his lifetime of his wisdom, and I'm going to be sharing, from this particular, all the books that he has, lots of things that he has here, and I'm going to be sharing from this particular books, okay? And it'll give you some insight as to what he thought about some things, okay? So with that in mind, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. I love you guys very much, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you and love you so much. And thank you so much. I'll see you on the other side. Namaste.